Hello, my name's Natasha and I am in the middle of a declutter. I have already filmed the first part of this video, which will be the books that I have read and that I am getting rid of because I don't intend to reread them. And this one is going to be the books that I am unhauling because I don't plan to read them. And there's a few that are duplicates because I obviously wanted to read them so much I forgot I'd got it and stupidly bought it again. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Let's get into this. First off, we'll start with the duplicates because that is nice and easier. So the first one is Cassandra Clare's City of Ashes, the Mortal Instruments book number 2. I didn't realise that I'd got this because this is a very different cover to the other ones that I have. I have books 1 and 2 already, and this one looked very different, so I didn't think it was the same one, so I bought book 2 again. So I've kept the other copy just because it matches my others that I've got. I'm excited to read this series. I've heard lots of good things about it, so I'm going to pass this on to somebody else and hope that they enjoy it as much as I'm hoping that I'm going to. The next book I've got is a George R.R. Martin Clash of Kings Game of Thrones book, and somehow this is the second book of the Song of Fire and Ice, of Ice and Fire. Fire and Ice, Ice and Fire. And I already have this and I somehow decided to get another copy. I don't know what I was thinking. I had a moment and I thought, oh, I don't have that one, and I rebought it in a charity shop, so I will be popping this back to the charity shop so they can pass it on to somebody else. I somehow ended up with 2 copies of John Green's Paper Towns. I have quite a lot of John Green books on my shelves and I don't know if I'm going to read them, if I'm completely honest. I really like him as a person. I love watching the Green Brothers YouTube channel. I don't know. I don't know if I will get around to reading my other copy, but I couldn't decide which copy to keep. But this is the one that will be going, and who knows when I'll get around to reading the others. Then I have 2 books from the #1 Ladies Detective Agency books, and these are by Alexander McCall Smith. I have Full Cupboard of Life and Morality for Beautiful Girls. Sometimes I don't know which ones of these I've got. There are a million, maybe not a million, there's like 20 something. And for some reason I didn't recognise that I had them. And here we have a book that I bought that didn't have its sleeve, its dust sleeve. And this is a copy of Starsight by Brandon Sanderson, and unfortunately I bought this in the middle of the night when my insomnia had kicked in, and I thought I had bought a copy of Skywood because I have a digital copy but not a physical copy, and I was looking for a physical copy like this. I thought I bought it. It turned up it was yet another copy of Starsight, so I stupidly have 2 copies of the sequel and no hard copy of the first book, which is a disappointment. Just a quick mention of 2 books that I have read that I didn't mention in the previous video, but these are my husband's books, and it is Factfulness by Hans Rosling and The Chimp Paradox by Professor Steve Peters. We've both read both of these and we won't be rereading them again. For me, this wasn't particularly groundbreaking. I quite liked some of the points and the ways of thinking. For a member of my family, my aunt, she found this to be mind-blowing, and it's helped her with her anxiety, changed the way that she thinks about things, and so I'm really pleased that it's been really helpful and good for her. But unfortunately these didn't really do that for me. They were enjoyable reads, but that we won't be reading them again, so they are going to be being unhauled. So these are being unhauled from my husband's bookshelf. So now I'm going to quickly whiz through some of the books that I haven't read that I intend to unhaul from my shelves, because I think I'm not going to get round to them because I am more interested or excited to read other books, and I find that I read more if I go for stuff that I'm interested by. It just makes sense. However, if some of these books are wonderful and you think that they are worth reading, then please do let me know, because these ones I might hold on to just a little bit longer, just in case anything screams that it should be read. First off we have Dawn French is a Tiny Bit Marvellous. This was bought for me and I've heard that her books are funny and enjoyable, but I've had this for a few years now. Somebody kindly bought it for me. I haven't picked it up, so I just thought that it's time to let it go, really. I do know a lady at work who's read According to Yes, so I think I'll take this into work and see if this might be something that she would be interested in reading, but failing that, it will be going to a new home. Next up we've got Jane Costello's All the Single Ladies. So this one follows a woman called Sam who's been with her boyfriend for a long time, and then he has some feelings of wanderlust and he decides to take a world trip or something and go to South Africa. No, he's moving to South America, sorry, and she isn't invited, and so I think we're following her after the fact that her boyfriend leaves. And it doesn't feel like it's going to be any different to lots of books. It doesn't feel special in any way, so I don't think I'm just going to take the time to read this. There are much more books. I have more books that I am more excited by, so that one will be going. This one I've had for a number of years. This is Lola Jane by the time you read this, and this is a man called Kevin Bates who is dying, and he writes a manual for his daughter Lois, I think, and he writes her an entry, what does it say, each year on her birthday up until she's 30. And so it's a bit like P.S. I Love You, but a dad to his daughter. And I feel like if I read this I would enjoy it. However, at the same time, I don't want to read it. I don't want to cry, I don't want to get emotionally invested. I don't know. I read some reviews that said this didn't do it as well as people expected it to, so I'm a little bit on the fence about this one, so I therefore think that this one will be going to a new home unless you feel otherwise. I think I picked this book up purely because of its cover. It just appealed to me and I grabbed it. It was probably part of a deal at a charity shop where you get like 3 for whatever, and I needed to find another book, so I picked it up. And this is These Days of Our Lives by Juliet Ashton. Follows 2 people, Kate and Becca, and they are cousins and best friends. And it says they've grown up together and shared the most important milestones in their lives. Childhood birthday parties, 18th birthdays, and now a wedding day as they each marry their childhood sweethearts, Charlie and Julian. And it says that, like, Kate's always loved Charlie, they were meant to be, but she's about to discover that life never turns out quite how you expect it to, and love doesn't always follow the journey it should, but best friends are forever and true love will find a way, won't it? It says a novel about love and what happens when the person you love cannot be yours. And I don't know why I picked this up, because I have a real issue with cheating and infidelity, and I feel quite strongly about it and I don't wish to read about it. And so this makes me feel like that might be something, or someone trying to get someone to fall for them when they're with someone else. I just feel very uncomfortable about that. That's not something I'm willing to spend my time reading, and so I suspect that might have elements of that in it here, and so therefore I'm not interested in reading this one. The next book is Tom Holt's Make and Chain Traces of Magic. I've had this a few years. It's moved house with me, so it must be more than a few years. It must be 5 or 6 years. And every time I pick it up, I have a look and I think, oh, it sounds interesting, I won't let it go. And then I don't bloody read it. And it's basically a man who's driving around and his sat-nav talks back to him like a person. I haven't read the rest, that's all I can remember. And I think it could be good, and it's supposed to be funny and fun, and I just wish I kept picking it up, or just... It's been on my shelves for so long and I haven't read it, and it's probably one of the books I've had potentially the longest. And so I think I just have to let it go, because I don't grab for it over other things. This one's one of the difficult ones, really, because I obviously picked it up because I wanted to read it, and it's just sat there being unloved and unread. Okay. Next one is The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards, and I feel like every man and his dog has read this book, and I just don't feel emotionally ready to read it. I remember there being lots talked about it at the time that it came out, and I don't feel ready. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be in a place when I'm ready to read this. I've discovered with time I'm not as into thrillers as much. I'm more of a sci-fi, fantasy, romance, light-hearted books more so than this type of thing. I have to be in the mood, and this has been with me for a little while and I just don't seem to be in the mood for it, so I'm gonna say thank you for spending some time with me, but I'm gonna let you move on and be with somebody else. We just have like 4 more books, I think. These are both Christmas based. This is Christmas with the Bomb Girls by Daisy Styles. This was from a charity shop and I bought it actually to pass it on to a member of my family who likes this sort of book, and I forgot and it went on my shelf, and then I forgot to pass it on, so I will be taking this home for my aunt. It's not my cup of tea really. And then I also picked up Page Tunes, One Perfect Christmas and Other Stories. It's lots of short stories. And then Christmas has been and gone and I didn't read it, and so I am going to get rid of it because I'm not going to read it at any other time of the year, and for some reason it didn't speak to me, so I'm going to let that one go. Then I've got this big old book by Sheila O'Flanagan, If He's the One, How Will I Know? I have no idea where this book came from. I don't recall buying it. I suspect somebody maybe very kindly passed this on to me and I haven't read it, and so therefore I think it's been with me a long time and it's time to let it go. Okay, so there's a lady called Claire and her husband is tragically dies, I believe. It just says snatched away, but I guess tragically died. And then her teenage daughter needs her mum, and so the mum decides to try anything to help her daughter, and so she starts dating again, and it's about the people she meets and stuff like that. I think this could be a good book, but it's just not really the one for me, so I think I will actually also pass this on to my aunt because it sounds like this is right up her street too. I picked this up off my shelves and nearly kept it on there because it's sweet. It's quite cute and kitsch, and it's about someone who loses their job and then moves to Derbyshire to work at the Lemon Tree Cafe with her Italian grandmother. And I'm sure that I can predict what sort of story it will be because a lot of these books are just very samey for me, so I will not be keeping this and I will not be reading this, so I'll be passing this one on. So I'm pleased to have reduced my books. The final book is a book that I am not sure if I should get rid of or not, and this is Jasper Ford's The Big Over Easy, and this is a sort of a crime novel about Humpty Dumpty being killed, but it references lots of nursery rhymes and things like that and children's stories, and I'm sure that it's going to be funny and witty and full of lots of puns, but for some reason I just haven't grabbed for it in the whole time I've had it on my shelves. I have got his Shades of Grey, which I've started reading recently and I really enjoy it, so I feel like I should give this a go, but I'm just in 2 minds. So if you've read this, please let me know what you think of it or whether I should keep it and give it a go. This is the one that I am most in 2 minds about, so I would love to hear what you think. Okay, so there we are. The book unhaul is complete. I think it was something like 26 books, so I am quite relieved to get those off elsewhere, and that is not including some of the books that my husband has also unhauled from his shelves, which were about 10, so it'll be quite nice for them to be sent to new homes. Yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching, take care, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye.